Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Hey, Linda, you'd be better off opening that in Google Chrome in the slides rather than PowerPoint. Linda, I can see you now. You're good.
On. You know, I'm not good at this crap. I prefer it. Is it quicker? Yeah. One way or the other way, it works, right? No, it's not working. It helps if I turn it on, and see. It wasn't working before, right? I'm not crazy. I saw everything. I mean, I know I'm crazy, but now all of a sudden it's.
Linda, I can see and hear you. You're
I
good.
am not messing with that. Because, I'm assuming you have to be close. Or actually, forceful effects, so that's what it did. Is that the first? Yes, there we go. It's Elijah, I'm ready. Anyone that has a question? And then unfortunately, I don't think one of the has it in the plan. I mean, then on that. How are you? It's on standby, so you just put it back on. If anybody has questions. Turn it on now. Because everybody's like, hey, you're doing. Nice, how are you? You want to share about? What's that from this island? This medium. So that's what I had. No. No, but we put it all full in here. Don't do layers. It was. Thank you. There's gonna be other people. I think you know, I mean, down there. I haven't seen. And I've older women again and like that. Hopefully I am completely off. And the girl. Let's see everybody. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Let's see you. But they can answer. Great. You can't do it. If you're both of us, you can. That's too long. Some people are on beaches, I'm like, oh my god. And sometimes I'm. No, they don't do. Yeah, except you don't want your own husband seeing. My husband. Yeah. Dying. Really, I know, yeah, it's. I'm not another dude, right, but. That's what you don't know things. How are you? I'm good. How are you? Ooh. Back. I know, I looked at that file the other day, that's like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. This thing. Okay. How are you? I'm good. What things on? Yeah.
closed, just I mean, yeah. But you can figure out, because sometimes they come in together, like. You can figure out what. Just do what.
But I'm not. It's, I asked permission to, step in the door. Oh, yep. Excuse me.
How are you?
Yes. I just came in. Needed to run upstairs. But close it. Like.
Well.
Yeah, that's all. I'm not trying to sit into this, that's all something on there that I want to.
Good. Everybody. Oh, I like your jacket.
Oh, thank you.
That'd be cool.
I know.
I am leaving. Somebody keeps turning on the air downstairs. And I'm like, I know, I understand the fire, but I just breathe.
Stop in the office. Hey, you should. I want to get your up time. Like a late street.
I'm getting on period. Blessing for the. Yes. I just give you a compliment, you tell me to bite. Some choice words. Do you want me to use my choice words? All the things you already know. I don't know all the things. I just have the different. I want some stuff. Dan, Susie's offer. Hours because. Really? Do you research a deposit? She wasn't in pocket yet. They didn't hear. Oh, we just did it. I don't know what happened. Jesus did. Jesus. Let's see, get in the pocket. Yes. Yeah, this is John. Hi, everybody. We're down. Yes, she's helping me down. Yeah, waiting. Title chart. It's so old. Yeah, it's so small. Maybe big.
You know, numbers.
I know, so rather speak to. Really? I don't even know.
Big ones.
Anything I
Yeah.
need.
You sell it, you so. Been doing it for 1,000 years.
You longer than. Since I think so starting to out. Two. But that's my second career. That's one starting. It's important. Shut the door. Who's ever commented on that? And so we have. You were going to his office.
You had more.
I was gonna say. I really parrot it, you know, good minute. My God. We're gonna get started now. We're gonna get started now. Sorry. So who are the newer agents here? So do you understand like pretty much what's taking the service and pretty why we have that? Yes, okay. You can go through it, right? So you can go right, so click to the next if you guys.
My friend.
Right down here. Just, all right, I'll just stand here. Did you want to click that? So you don't have to worry about moving them? Better. Maybe some. Yes, can you hear me? There. You guys hear them?
You are just about ready to purchase your new home. You made sure your property rights are protected. For a low one-time fee, an owner's title insurance policy can protect your property rights for as long as you or your heirs own the property. Here are 5 reasons why. You insure your life, car, health, and even pets. Make sure you insure your single largest investment, your home. Getting an owner's title insurance policy protects you from unforeseen legal and financial title discrepancies that may occur after you purchase. Most insurance and warranties only protect the structure and belongings of your home. Owner's title insurance ensures your family's property rights stay protected. Each year, more than 80% of America's homebuyers choose to get owner's title insurance. You can rest assured that your owner's title insurance protects you from inheriting any existing debts or legal problems after closing. It's peace of mind you deserve. For more information about your owner's title insurance policy, ask an Alta member or visit homeclosing101.org.
Whoops. So title insurance makes sure that when you purchase a home, there's no open mortgages, judgment, taxes, anything from prior owners or anybody back in between that would be due. So when we do the search on the property, they check the court. They get the title. Everybody, so you can see what does come up, and it's our job to make sure we clear all that. So we order our tax certs, we order any mortgage payoffs, anything that's on there is what we have to clear. So when we give the policy to the people at closing, that ensures them there's no issues. If there are issues that come up, if something got missed or didn't get cleared, they are protected, and then we then pay for accountable if it becomes an issue. Okay, so now we're gonna jump to this. So these are things when we have a new deal that we get, that we need from you. So we need the fully signed agreement of sale, the ABA, and the broker's agency. We ask for that right up front so we can get the file going, and then other things that you might have for us. So definitely the contact information for the buyer and seller so we can get started with that. And then you get your confirmation. Has everybody got that confirmation from us? Do you get that then? Okay, so you get the confirmation that we started everything. We reached out to the buyers and the sellers. And then a link to the wiring instructions, which kind of some people get confused by because that's not going to be done until the end. But really what we want them to know is to not send anything unless they talk to us directly in the office. So a lot of people get confused by that and they call us, thank goodness. And then that's when we say, you'll hear from us directly when we tell you we're sending wire instructions, and then in turn, we want you to return a phone call to us so we can confirm everything verbally. So you're gonna hear from your people a lot, I got the wiring instructions, am I sending something now? No, really, we just want them to know, like it says there, don't trust anybody, talk to us. Yes,
When do you want the title order? So we go into contract on the deal and our contract typically says 7 days, right? When the title company, do you want us to give you that?
you can get it to us right away. You can let us know things like if you're like, I'm not quite sure about the inspections, or we might delay it on closing, hold on to it for a little while, and then we can just hold it in our system. Send it to us right away and just give us any notes that might go with us. And the other most important thing is if you think you want to close early, that's been happening a lot lately. And if you give us a heads up when we get the order that this is the date that's on the agreement of sale, but we think we want to close as soon as possible, then we can make a note on that file and just make sure we stay on top of that and let you know, hey, we're clear, does everybody want to do that now?
And is it realistic, like, you hear cash flows can close in 2 weeks, HOAs can be a challenge,
Yeah,
but realistically, what?
so for us, there's no difference between a cash deal and a deal with a lender. Our process is still the same. We still have to order the tax certs, everything. So our process is the same, other than there's a lender involved. They might hold things up. But I would say 2 weeks. It takes maybe 3 or 4 days to get the search back. The tax certs are the things that can be held up. But again, if you say to us, I think we want to do this one as soon as possible, we can order tax certs directly from the tax collector. And that gives us a little more leverage to call them and say, hey, can you send that cert over now than what our usual protocol is for that? I would say 2 weeks.
So my question, if I order title insurance and then you fall apart, is my client will be responsible to pay the fee?
No, we don't. No, but things happen. That's the cost of doing business, right? Any other questions on that? So this form is tenancy. This is one that we send out to them, that they let us know how they're gonna take title. This is important because a lot of times we'll have one person on the agreement of sale. When we get the form back, they have a wife's name on it that isn't included in anything. So that gives us a heads up to say, who is that person, and oh, do you want them to be part of the contract? Because we know they don't always tell you. And we do have to include them on the search. So anybody who's a buyer has to be searched as well as the seller. So we need that information so then we can, revise that search and put them on.
Searching for.
Searching for overdue child support, judgments against them. So there are certain things that if the buyer has that against them, that can attach to the property as well. And child support is a big one. So that's why we have to search everyone. And sometimes people will say that, why do you have to search me? And even, or I'm going on title, I'm not going on the loan, but you're still going on. You have to be sure to be.
Buyers seem very protective of the social security.
They are,
And so they don't want to give them, and they need to understand the reason why.
yes, and and a lot of times they don't want to send it through the system, which closing is really a safe way, but they can always call us with that information too, like. Older people are like, I'm not doing that, just call me up and get the information to me verbally if you want to do that. So we can,
Technically, without that, they would see the
What's that?
What about an ISIN number?
Yeah, we have to get that too. Yeah. So there's 2 policies. There's a standard or basic, and there's an enhanced. Standard or basic is anybody across the board. Enhanced is if it's gonna be your primary residence. It can't be an LLC, it has to be an individual person. It can be a second home if you're gonna be there at least 50% of the time. And right now, it can't be new construction, but they're looking into changing that because if you're building a house, that probably is gonna be your primary. And then we just give them a checklist of different things that are included in it. So for example, with all the fraud that's going on, there's some coverage now if somebody tries to fraudulently report a deed against you. So it used to be just things that happened in the past up until today. And now it's things that can happen in the future. So that deed fraud is one of them. So it's good to have. I think that's the enhanced, yeah. As long as you own it. So your policy protects you from the day you purchase the property, as long as you're the home. You have that forever. So I know sometimes people are like, well, that costs a lot of money and what is that? But it's once and done. I mean, you have it. I wish that it was here. terms, but it comes with that, so yeah, it's really a lot of extra money to put into it. That more.
You know, when we had a foreclosure, a lot of my investor clients did not want to purchase the title insurance, you know, and I always get, you're absolutely out of your mind, yes.
Yeah,
So we might see more of that.
you're gonna be more of that, yeah, and people who go buy it fail because they're getting a good deal financially, it comes back on them, as we know, how many times have we done a search and we're like, you didn't get title insurance, so there's, you know, someone out there that has an outstanding interest or something. And then they're stuck, then they have to like go through a process of quiet title action, which takes time and money, so that's the money that they save, they're putting into that anyway. Skip past. I'll skip it. If you can. Go, okay, we just talked about that. Yeah, so they sign a waiver if they just want the standard, to let us know that that's what they want, that's just another form that they do. This form's a little bit, wish they would change it, because it says sign here to waive. And sometimes people are like, yeah, it's confusing, I think we should try and reword that maybe. So the ABA, we all know why that's important, we have to have that. KBG, right, so we have to show everyone that there is a relationship there, that has to be in the filing order for us, but you can start. And I wanted to let you know that if they get that order from you, that search is started that day. Everything is ordered. So we're ordering the search, we're ordering the taxes immediately. Like that.
Congratulations! You just listed or sold a house and are ready to take that next step. Calling the title company with the order so they can prepare to close the transaction, allowing the seller to move to their new home, and the buyer to take possession of theirs. What a thrill to be able to help nice people in a very important process in their lives. Why then should you feel hesitant to present the affiliated business disclosure form to your client on such a happy occasion? The answer is that getting to all the paper coatings homework is a mood changer, pure and simple. Nobody likes doing homework. There are many very good reasons for the ABA disclosure, and we'll get to them in a minute. But first, let's talk about when that disclosure needs to be signed. The answer? You need to present the ABA as soon as possible after making the referral. That means, as a practical matter, that once you have the listing or sales agreement signed, you need to get the ABA signed. Waiting delays the issue and makes the presentation more difficult for you, prevents the buyer or seller from looking for an alternative source for their title insurance services, and puts the title company under the gun to get everything accomplished for that smooth transaction your client deserves. So then why must the ABA disclosure be signed at all? The answer is not because we said so, nor is it because CFPB says so, or even because Congress says so, but in addition to the requirement under RESPA, because it protects you, your broker, and your title agency from potential legal issues in the event of a lawsuit. Under RESPA, plaintiffs have the right to up to 3 times the settlement service costs. In other words, if a title agency, a real estate brokerage, and a real estate salesperson were being sued, the plaintiffs would be asking for 3 times the fees paid by them to their title agency. And under a class action suit, the plaintiffs can and would ask for the same amount be awarded to every person who had been similarly treated for the most recent 3 years. Some courts have ruled that depending upon the circumstances, there is no statute of limitations, meaning the plaintiff's lawyers could go back to forever, which is a very long time. You can easily see the critical importance of getting the ABA disclosure signed as soon as you get your client's signatures on each of your transactions. If you or your clients have any questions about the ABA disclosure, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of our representatives, and we'll be happy to address any issues and put your client's mind at ease.
Yikes, right? Okay, so this is the agreement of sale. So you have to be careful who your sellers are. You can ask us for deeds anytime you want. So if you get there and we pull a deed for you and there's 2 owners and you get to their house and there's 1 person there, you're missing someone. So we need to find out why. Are they deceased? Are they divorced and they're not there? So that's very important. And like I said, we'll give you deeds anytime you want. Email us, give us a call, we'll shoot one over to you. The legal names are important too. We see Johnny a lot. And then when we see their ID, they're Jonathan, and then everything has to be changed. So do you still have to get ID from people or no? Not anymore.
We do, just
It's good practice. Okay, all right. And sometimes lots of lenders, seems like they always, so we'll double check if the name seems a little like that. They are. And then also, if there's more than one parcel on the deed that might come up, we want to ask them, are you selling your house and the lot next door or not the lot? So we need to determine what that is up front. So we order the service. There are different things that we search for, bankruptcy searches we do. Pacer, the same thing like bankruptcy. We do the child support, which people are always surprised by. Yep, the mortgage, the judgments, the liens.
What would be the most typical thing that you see, coming up? Because I mean, you're gonna have mortgages, obviously, that's not common. And then you have some weird ones that take a while to clear, which are challenging.
Yeah, let me just think if there was one that we had recently. Well, this is an interesting one. It's not actually a lien or anything. But it showed up on Schedule B2 of the policy where it shows things like if you're in a homeowners association. What the rules and things are. So when we clicked on, and it was actually a church that was selling. And we found out that only certain people could sign off, so we had to find that. So there are things like that. So you sometimes have to really read into it. And then do some investigating to make sure you have the right person sign off, so that's a lien back on you later, where they say this person still has an interest because they didn't sign off and they should have.
So when you get the title report. And
No, go ahead.
you get the title report, which is great, they get a chance to look at it. Realtor, I always go to those schedules, because I'm curious what's in there.
Yes.
And you and I had one last year, and it had municipal liens, HOA liens, federal tax liens, all of it. So as an agent, what do we do when we see something like that? Because it's not so easy, just say, we'll handle it. You know, if there's things that we can do to facilitate.
You can come to us and say, is this something that you're gonna be able to take care of quickly, or is this something that might delay things? That's always where we have a question. Send the title, not everybody looks at it. Do we let you know every single thing that comes up? Or do we only let you know what we think is gonna cause a delay? We don't wanna reach out to you and you're like, yeah, there's more, you're gonna get a payoff and you're gonna close. So I don't know how you feel about that. You still get a copy, but if we have something that we think might be an issue and delay, do you want to know right away? Like, do you want us to reach out to you and say, hey, this is coming up? Okay. That.
It's one of the problems that we have to the deal is this, I, the buyer, seller, have so many liens that proceeds were not going to cover us.
Yeah.
So he was not able to close. He just, I think before closed, there was not, there just wasn't enough to do it. Then federal left. That was actually taken.
And sometimes the liens belong to someone back in the chain of title, not our person. And in that case, we have to go back to whoever insured last. They have to give us a letter of indemnity that indemnifies us if anything comes up with that. So that takes some time.
Relations.
Yes. Right, we only search PA, that we're only concerned with Pennsylvania. So I do tell them that to people because the guys are always like, and I'm like, don't worry, you're clear. So no. You can breathe now. I would have been talking to you prior to today. Yeah, exactly. They're the wife was like, yeah, we said we searched you too. So this is what our commitment looks like. So the pages. Oh, so this is what we get, and then there's gonna be a Schedule A. So Schedule A is gonna show who's gonna be insured, so the people and the lender. There's gonna be a copy of the legal description to the property. Schedule B1 lists everything we have to clear, so mortgages, judgments, taxes, anything like that. Schedule B2 are exceptions to the policy that are gonna stay on, so if there's right-of-ways and things in the HOA. So we of course go to Schedule B1 right away, check it out, see what we have to clear on it.
She had them open. Do you?
That's
Okay.
should go back. So again, we want to make sure that we have the right people that are selling. I don't care.
It's a feature.
Well, that's-
beavers continue with the mundane task of moving into their new home. The experience is anticlimactic and often uncelebrated. Real estate agents, settlement agents, and escrow officers move quickly to the next transaction in an almost robotic fashion. The only seller's son. What if we told you it didn't have to be that way? January, prepare to be wow. Clients is taking the closing experience to a new level. Work our way. After all, it is the TA way.
Alright, so like we said, we can get you right away, just let us know, email us, call us, we'll get it over to you right away. Endorsements, so that's when there's a lender involved, they want extra endorsements for the policy. Pennsylvania is not a survey state, so we can't tell you exactly where your lines are. People ask a lot after closing, they're like, well, where's my map and how do I know where my lines run? Pennsylvania doesn't work that way. We do give an endorsement to the policy to the lender though, just to cover if there's encroachments or anything for them. And then if you're an HOA, there's a special endorsement given, so it's just like when you buy homeowners insurance, you add certain things to it, so the lender lets us know what they want. $100, yeah.
This
Some are more,
This could be, it's a variable, depends on that.
yeah.
Different offices, we have Stroudsburg, Summit, Media, Clinton, Bethlehem, Toyota. Can't see if there's anyone.
I think Clinton
Really
Gracie
fine. And Clinton is gone and so that's correct. But if you ever have a closing and it's within one of these areas, you know, if you're a Stroudsburg agent, we do our best to accommodate.
That's it. Any question?
Oh, so when, so we have to do our estimates. And in there, you have to put down, I think it says title endorsement, like new fee, but I just saw that we had a lot of different. So what should we be putting in there? Because I put like that's.
Yeah, well, again, you're just giving them an estimate, which is they come back later. My agent told me it was gonna be this, like, yep, that was an estimate, not exactly. So if there's a lender involved, there's always three of them, always gonna be at least three. If it's in the HOA, there's another one, 400, and then it depends what kind of loan it is, if it's variable. Fixed, so sometimes those are loans, so, but definitely always 300, obviously, with that, with the HOA, that is 4, yeah, and you can always ask, too, we can get. You have your rate guide set, but any questions, if you go over a certain amount, you have to call it. And then let those get cast. Did she bring you the Excel thing? Oh, really? Yeah. What is that? I don't know.
Some things that pop up on deeds that we need to, because I know sometimes there's recorded things, enforcements, and then there's right of first refusals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We did. We should be looking at the deed before we put it in an offer, that kind of thing, so that we know what we're getting into.
Does everybody know what a right of first refusal is? You know what that is? So especially in states, there's what they call as a right of first refusal, which means that someone has to allow your property to be sold. They have the right to purchase it first, doesn't. And there's a fee for that, and we have to get them to sign the lease. I think there's another one. What's the one in, too? Yeah. Yep, you know them all, yeah. So that's, right, like you said, that's something that can come up. If you read through and it refers to something in the chain of title, a book and page, we can get that for you, just let us know. You'll get it once the actual commitment goes out, but to know ahead of time is good.
I always notice sometimes there's some discrepancies between what's in the deed and what's on the actual listing. Sometimes the agent doesn't pick up that there's two parcels.
Right.
You know, so knowing that ahead of time before you put in an offer is really important. That's, I've taught a couple of people, oh, I didn't realize that that neighboring property is attached.
Yeah.
Because the way it's listed could be, avoided that, so.
Exactly. And as long as you have two parcel numbers, they can sell, even if they're on the same deed, they can sell that house without selling off that extra parcel. So it's just, that pulls just the one parcel.
Dealing with a trust, right, trustee for that, so do you need actual copies of the articles, whatever, and then also appropriations for?
We need to see the trust, yep, and a lot of people don't want to get those things up, but put it in the trust, you have to be ready to provide all the proofs that you need. And an important thing to know too, is if you have a seller that's a trust, they have to have an account that's a trust account, because that check is being payable to the trust, not the individual. We can't do that. And a lot of times that happens too, like, well, I don't have an account in the trust, and like, then you have to get one. So you can't, it has to be made payable to the person on title or the LLC on title. You can't just give it to a member of the trust.
How about with a power of attorney?
So we need an original. If there's already one, the best thing to do, if there's gonna be a power of attorney, just send a copy over to us so we can review it. We have to make sure it's acceptable, because it changes the guidelines after a certain year, and we need witnesses and everything, there's more things that need to be on it. You can get a copy for us to review ahead of time. I know Jessica will do that a lot. She'll be like, there's this power of attorney, can you make sure everything looks okay? We can look at that for you. And we have to let them know they do have to have the original, because we have to record it.
Different title companies have this and then have different fees in here, or is that, this is regulated?
Yes, regulated by the state of
The
Pennsylvania.
only fee difference would be notary.
Right.
Endorsements, are they the same?
Endorsements are the same, so like the notary fees, the courier fees, the wire.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah. If you
Okay.
ever get into a situation where your buyer is like on the fence about, okay, just let us know, because we don't want to lose the deal for $25 better. We can always take a look at things that we can do as far as that goes. We try not to add any things that aren't actually passed.
If you're wiring funds to pay off and wiring funds to someone's account, it'd be a double wire fee, so is it $25 each, is that the average?
Thanks.
Or you put $50?
Yeah. It's good, probably on your end, if you get a little higher, then they're pleasant.
Exactly.
Yeah. John's like, he's like, he always checks it. Pretty much all the time.
Favorite thing anyway. I'm usually. I'd be. But you have to know what the origination fees are, what kind of act fees are, so I would act that. I guess I'm kind of idea, an extra $5 or $6. But they're 1% origination fee.
It's hard if it's like the PA or anything.
Well, they have funding.
Never is that,
Maybe help.
I always get my trouble with the lender, it's like, I wonder, just because sometimes the buyers think they can do something. You don't have everything like mailed down, so you can still do your own form, but you can combine lending fee.
Lenders will a full year access to the things that were keep their number.
That's a good thing. Do that.
But it's better to plan on that whole, because otherwise. You can prorate, you can still prorate, but you're still gonna have that balance of witness.
Yeah, some of them, funny. one time when I was.
Association on.
And sometimes if you get a lender that's not sitting your lender, they really mess up on the tax. Because they think they run on a calendar year, that's rich for you. So the taxes are kind of high.
Nevada, they don't have hardly any taxes. Fire country. His dad was a realtor or lender, he wrote, he didn't understand any exactly access that, you know, it's like, what is all that?
They're like, I don't have kids. Yeah, we. I'll have to see this too.
Sort of things. I'm dealing with green right now. Whether it be a property that's already in clean and green, whether planning on putting clean and green, do I need to know like what to tell them as far as clean and green can only be March, right? March, April.
Yeah, don't apply. I think if it's already,
you're transferring it, the application and.
yes. If it's already in clean and green, then you can transfer it over, and we usually call Monroe County and let them know, and I think there's a form they can fill out.
Yeah, there's a form that is filled in. Yeah. They're supposed to do it ahead of time so that they know, but, you know, you obviously don't want to transfer it over if something happens, it doesn't close. You know, so, Yep. There's also the land preservation, there's a whole different animal, usually it's in Act 319 and some are in the land preservation. It's the development rights of it. Can't just like buy it and decide to chop it up for the kids, but that's not gonna happen. And there's another one, I think it was a fish and streams, a stream, it's fish and wildlife or something, there's other people who sold their rights to that, there's a lot of that kind.
Unusual water with solar and there's a portion. You done such carrying as far as you think anything. So assume that they would have to be in there. Yeah, if there's any sort of repairing.
Yeah, let's say, yeah, it'll be on that schedule in 2 exceptions. It should be coming through to you, tell me if it's not, that you can click on any deed booking pages and it should bring up a copy of it. Is it coming through closing lock like that when you get that?
Different pages.
We can, yeah. So go back to, okay, so stop right there. So this is the first page of this is a policy, right? This is the actual policy. Oh, commitment, okay. So we have the people's names and the sales price, and then we have the lender and the loan amount. Okay, so that's all on the first page. Yep, that's the recital. So this shows how the property is coming out of them, how they took title. So that's like back in the chain. That's called the recital. And then the address. Okay. Schedule A, so, or Exhibit A, that's the legal description of the property that's taken from the deed. Okay, so that shows your parcel number. And again, your recital. So this is the part that we have to really look at. This is what we clear. So this is what's required. We need the deed from the seller to the buyer, and then the mortgage from the buyer to the lender. And then we start scrolling down. This is just showing, yep, we're gonna check the taxes, domestic relations, yep. Right, so this is the part that we have to clear. No mortgages, that's good. There's 2 judgments. So we have to see if it belongs to our person. Sometimes someone has a common name, like Joe Smith or something, so it may not be them. In which case we have them sign an affidavit confirming it doesn't belong to them, and then that helps clear it, or we have to order the payoffs. They're not always easy to get, so. Come with the hearings. Yep.
So if applicable, you guys can follow on your commission form.
See if there's an estate, we need a copy of the estate to make sure the right person's signing. Inheritance tax, we have to hold money for that, it's not paid. And there's a formula for that, depending on what the relationship is to the people and the estate. And we have to
Always have attorneys for states?
No.
No, okay.
acknowledge. We like when we have them, because they make it easier on the selling end. Attorney just be like. Yeah, he makes it. But yeah, we have to hold money for that. Yeah, so if you have an LLC or a trust, any type of entity like that. I like to. Taxes. So
That's all the stuff we have to clear and make sure we're good with, so.
Seem to happen, but usually right after this tax account number, there's another requirement that will show you search package, and then there could be a hyperlink here. That you normally would be able to click on. And then that hyperlink will take you all to all the search documents, so there's plot maps, there's deeds, there's mortgages, all those unrecorded record should be part of that. So next time you get something in the email, it usually comes from the system, not from us. So when you get something from Westburg, see if in that requirement, that last number has that. Where it'll say search package, a bunch of numbers, if you can't, let us know.
Yeah, we'll send it to you, make sure you can, because you always. Yeah. Alright, so these are the things that stay on title mostly, will be on the policy itself, so. So this is regarding that we don't do any type of survey, so we don't really know exactly how much land as far as acreage goes. Possible tax increases, anything, put a deck or set your house, for to increase your taxes, so, or, that's beyond us.
It's also for homesteads too. Like if the seller has a homestead, then for the time of the property that the seller has already paid those taxes, but yet they're being prorated back to our buyers or either the other way around. The county can come back and tell your buyers that they owe taxes because the homestead is no longer in effect. So sometimes the buyers get confused and they'll get a notice 6 months later. Oh, you guys didn't pay the taxes, X, Y, and Z, but this interim taxes, that homestead was then removed, so now you owe more taxes.
That's only once a year you can apply for that too, right? I don't need the buyer to apply for that.
Yeah, there's only a certain time, yeah, right, now, once a year. And I have to get better with doing what I said. Start bringing that, I should have it in the closing one, so we can get it. The coal rights is always in there because you're in Pennsylvania. We never get to this part, doesn't transfer any coal rights or anything. Yeah.
So technically, you're going for this, and making sure it's all. That we have.
No, we just like to give you a copy, and we're really supposed to give it to the buyers. Because if, say they're buying a piece of land and some type of restriction on there, they need to see that. So they know that that might be an issue for them if they want to build, but you can't bring everything to their attention. We're actually not supposed to really go over it because the attorney is supposed to do that. But at least they could say, hey, is this gonna be an issue? I can see it. But hate to buy a piece of land and then they wanted to have horses and they find out, can't have any of that, so.
There's some subdivisions that have very lengthy deed restrictions.
Yes.
That you can't do this, you can't have a pool, you can't have a fence, and,
Well, yeah, sometimes it says under and subject to the chain of title, and then you chain it back to where it comes out of the developer, and that will list everything, kind of like what's on your lease sale. It'll list everything again. Sometimes the lenders will ask for that. So it may not be on every deed, they don't retype it, but they just keep referring back to the prior to. So sometimes you have to chain back, so we go in and go through that recital, they call it, to see how it went back. This person and then this person before, so you get back to like that cranberry for percent of states that were not, and that list. Yeah, so if you ever have questions, we can see it back.
And the types of tenants, when they want to have the, I had a situation, I had a seller, so buyers, and title company, and the couple was not married at the time. And they did it where each owned 50% instead of right of survivorship. They ended up getting married a few months, like maybe 6 months later. They never changed the title to tenants by entirety.
We should do that.
So is there, if they do, this tenants by the entirety would be if they're single and they want to own 100%? No, that's the husband and wife.
Yeah.
So tenants in common, right?
And it's in common, yep, and you can see, you can put different percentages.
But you can do with the right of survivorship.
You can do the right of survivorship.
So that would make more sense when a couple unrelated people. Or if you have a whole family that's gonna own property. So Do you advise people, do you discuss that with them? And because I don't think a lot of people understand, I don't think.
We can't really advise them on that. All we can do is make sure that they understand. So joint tenants with right of survivorship is if there's two people on title that aren't married, this person passes away, their part of the property automatically goes to the other person. If you do tenants in common, this person passes away, their part of the property goes to their heir. So we just try and, talk to them again, including to be sure that's how they're gonna do that. And we do tell them if they say we're gonna get married soon, you should go and have another deed done. Unfortunately, we can only do deeds if we're insuring it. We can't do after just to add people or law, only attorneys can do that, but we can refer them to someone. And they definitely should, because tenants by the entireties protects you from certain things. So if you're husband and wife, you're tenants by the entireties and you're selling a property and there's a judgment on title, but it's only against one of you, you don't have to pay it. You're protected by that, so there's certain advantages to it.
Is it as it protects by the entirety?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, unfortunately, these people didn't change it and he died.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem.
And it was a big problem.
Yes.
She had ultimately ended up losing the property.
Yeah.
So,
Then you have to fight somebody and it's gonna go to their heirs, probably their kids, gonna probably be like, too bad. So unless they really like,
You see a lot of tenants in common, you see a lot of people selecting that.
sometimes. Yeah, sometimes they'll put percentages on it, and someone's like, why put more into it than that person did? 46 and split or something like that, so that's right on.
It can be a mess, though. I mean, I had one that had 7 people. And then spouses that died, and we had, this one passed away, and, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, you get three sets of couples sometimes that thought, Yeah,
Kids, they don't get pretty messy, and even if they live far down the road, we have to get right refusal of grace from the spouse and stuff like that, so, yeah, it gets pretty messy.
yeah, so if you have someone that is married and then go up to divorce, we have to get a spousal waiver signed, that the spouse who's not involved, saying, yes, it's okay for her person the property, she's not. So that does be fine. Most of the time, they're like, yeah, it's not a problem, they're amicable, but every once in a while you get one where they're like, yeah, no, mess.
You think this is waste.
They can't allow. They can come back, say they have a right to that property.
I had a couple that were apart 7 years, so we don't consider ourselves being married anymore. She wanted to buy a little inexpensive townhouse. And she had to track him down to have him sign off on the investment. Also had a seller who they were divorced. I guess maybe it wasn't finalized and he refused to sign.
It works for your buyers too, though. Like if your buyers are buying a property and your husband is moving out, this is the reason why he's buying a property, we still need to get his wife to sign off, because she can come later and say, hey, we're still married, but they have an there too, so it's not just your seller, it's buyers.
Can you send that document to all of us so that we?
The tenancy?
Yeah, I just don't think I've seen that.
We should probably send you a copy of everything provided, packages, yes, we can deal with the data. Yeah, sometimes they probably you up, you're like, I don't know. It's good, and yeah, we can.
We did have Steve Access too. It's empty, the access to save us. I'm not gonna get my best, but I get
One question. If I had 2 deals where the original deed had restrictions on it. Wasn't in an HOA, but was in a neighborhood. But the neighborhood, one of them was no sheds. But 70% of the sheds. And the other one, no pools, but at least 50% of them had pools. So if nobody's there enforcing it, what take that restriction?
Nobody enforces it or no one complains about it. I think after a while, I think they put them on a while ago, and then the people that put it into place aren't even there anymore. And if you have an HOA, they can restrict it more because they actually have place, but otherwise, the neighbor has a shed and we put a shed on. As long as the township says it's okay.
Yeah, you get it's been there, and this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, but I would be like, check with the township and see if they with it or not, but there were the, like, not their ways, but just who did it. like I said, they're probably not even allowed that more than people. So.
A lot of times, and somebody told me, I don't know if it was something that, you know, your office handled or whatever, but they were told, and I think it had to do with animals or whatever, it's like, if you go to all the other people, because the people that did the initial subdivision, you know, they just said, well, get everybody, all the surrounding properties to sign off on it, and then it should be okay. We're not concerned then.
Because a lot of people have chickens now.
Yeah.
Yeah, those jokes. We've done it.
One all the way in the back.
Yep.
One in the front, and one in the middle, signed off one. We got-
Yeah. We said,
Check.
yeah, we had, because they wanted a private road maintenance. I don't think they really do that.
Yeah, they
We
do.
just kind of do away with that. Yeah, there was a time when, yeah, John and I would go out and maybe 3 of the 5 people would find and the lender would be like, "Get up." Right? So yeah, we had.
Speaking of that, the maintenance agreements came about during the first round of foreclosure. We're gonna be doing foreclosure. So if you know, the Fannies and Freddies and Hugs and all that good stuff coming on. So one of the things that they offer is use our title company. What should we be telling our clients? Because they're awful.
Yeah.
And there's a benefit to the buyer because they think, well, I'm gonna save some money.
Okay, here's the thing, if they're getting a loan, and tell you they're gonna pay for the second insurance policy, you know, it's split out when you have a lender, so. It equals the sales price, the majority of it is gonna be the loan, so it might be $20 or $30 that's the owner's policy portion, so when you look at it that way, that's really all they're saving, they're still paying that lender's policy. So just come to us, you know, let us know what we're sending to them, but I would say it's not in their. Yeah, exactly.
A lot of times down the road. The owner
Right.
finds out, you know, what to handle. Just gonna buy a title. And it costs them $3,000.
Right. Eventually, a buyer's not gonna be successful. And you're gonna have.
The government forms do have a checkbox that specifically say, you know, to waive whatever fee, you can use our title company.
Yeah.
And I always say, no, I said, just spend the money, yeah, let's have our own title company handle it. So, you know, just something to watch out for moving forward. It is a pain in the butt when they try to use their own.
And I understand where you're at, but yeah, and a lot of times when you have titles like that, then you come to your closing and they'll send a witness through there. And then you end up with, you know, no, they don't have any questions answered or anything, so.
Celebrities don't know how to do closing agent stuff either, so they're not gonna sit there and be able to explain all the documents that they have your buyer sign, that's one. And then 2, lenders are always gonna look out for exactly who they are, lenders, they don't really care about your buyer, their sellers, they just, that, once the loan is there, that's it, they're paid. So, I mean, that's also a point we can mention to them as well.
The big boss is here, it's my president.
We still have 4 minutes now.
See all these advertisements on TV, title lock. And now, if you have a mortgage on your property, that should protect because you have to do a search and whatnot. But a house that's paid off, land that doesn't have a mortgage. If someone wants to put a more like I myself have land that doesn't have a mortgage on it, I'd like to put a lien on it. What documents would you need and how would you have to do that to put some sort of lien on it so that you would get notified? Like I signed yours up with the county to be notified, but I think that only notifies you that there's something else. So I don't think protection is being sold.
As far, as much as I know about that title lock, is they're gonna let you know if someone reported.
Yeah, and this is kind of.
Yeah. How would they know if someone needs to before they? I don't even know how to.
I think the only way you could really like put your own lien on it, so what document would you need to put your own lien on? Like I could put a promissory note for Bruce to have to pay me back, or for me to have to pay him back, double protection. And then we can choose whether we wanna have it paid off, if we wanna sell the property.
Yeah, that's.
So we didn't just get notified.
The
Yeah.
fence-
So we would just like do a promissory note or whatever, and then take it down to the pathonetary's office. Or the recorder's office. We'd have to have a notarized form before we do that. That's where people find the notary that you should.
That, so, you know, themselves.
That interrupt, so we can choose to like nullify it if we didn't do this, so. Oh, no, it's paid.
And our vacant land right now, we're sending that letter out to everybody to make sure that they're. Property, so everybody is, like, yes, I'm going, yes, that's mine, just start with that, or care of that, and some of them have to do facial recognition too. Have to go on, with their information, there's a security number and put their face up, so how there they are.
At the moment, still piece of property and until I asked for his photo ID, it was like, oh, gone,
Yeah.
disappeared.
Yeah.
So you know what I did do, I did with the county and so I think the county. So they said we need to go to Landex, blah, 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 and I went to Landex and immediately it came to my cell phone in my email that someone was looking at the title.
Oh, your house.
On my house.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
that was
what
just me.
It's registered with the county.
Yeah, it was registered with the county and you give them your telephone number and your email and it sent me the email and it sent me the, yeah, it sends me an alert, it will send me an alert.
Because you can read on your own. Because you guys looked at it.
Yeah, it's almost like predator monitoring, but title one.
Right, so some of these things are what you're gonna find these in the past. I think it's like this student here.
There's one more question, yeah, it's agents, and if you're with, what are the things that we do that for you and say besides their forms? Nothing, you have a list.
This thing communication with us, and like, as broad as people want to, right? Like, after that meeting, we have to do this. One of the first things you should go to, and each of them like, you know, so you know, if you're have to go over there.
It's the same system I forms.
Let me and Bernadette. Let me and Bernadette stay. Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah.